Here was Michael Schwab yesterday on the bench talking about an interesting name that could potentially be the general manager for the Houston Astros.
My understanding from sources is that Crane had been in contact with A.J. Hinch for possibly taking the GM role for over the past few months. He wants to recreate what he had again for the juggernaut years and what we're seeing right now.
A.J. Hinch, a possible name for the Houston Astros as the general manager of this club. Of course, the acting manager for the Detroit Tigers. How would you feel if A.J. Hinch was the general manager of the Houston Astros?
I don't think I wouldn't like it. I don't mind, and I said this until he took the Tiger job. I thought there was a chance that he would come back someday and manage the Astros. But he's a manager. To me, I know he worked in the front office in Arizona, but I don't think that that's enough to say that he's ready to take the reins, full-blown, be to the general manager type guy. I know that he and Crane still have a good relationship. I knew after they, quote-unquote, fired him because he was going to be suspended for a year anyway, that they were texting and communicating frequently throughout each week of the season. So I know there's a relationship there, but I don't see him as a general manager type that I would feel comfortable coming in and being the new general manager of the club. And also, if that's the case, then why not be Jeff Luhnow?
Yeah, we'll get to the Luhnow in a second. I wouldn't mind Hinch as the general manager. I think that he would be good in that role. Now, are there other names that I like more? Yeah, Sig Mejdal is a name that I really like. Now, quirky, awkward, socially awkward, very much an analytical guy. I think that he'd be good at the job, and that he would also be something that Crane wants, right? The Luhnow part of it, because he was Luhnow's right-hand man for a long time. I know people have mentioned, like, Brad Ausmus as well. Michael Schwab didn't. He mentioned that he could, like, work in the front office, but not the GM. He mentioned David Stearns again. But if Crane's going to hire a general manager this year, I think you can kiss the idea of David Stearns goodbye, because you're not going to hire a GM this year and then try to get David Stearns on board next year. I think that the writing would be on the wall there. So there's candidates I like more than A.J. Hinch, but I don't think A.J. Hinch would be bad at all. Whenever he was with Arizona, you mentioned that he was in that front office there, and he was considered by Baseball America then 10 to watch in the next 10 years to be a future general manager. I think he's also that combination of what Jim Crane is looking for, where he wants partly analytical, partly old school. And I think A.J. Hinch gives you both. A.J. Hinch has been able to adopt the analytical side of the game, very good with the analytical side of the game, knows it very well, and then has also been able to throw the old school baseball mentality of kind of just fill the game out. I think that he blends both of them together. So from like a position as the GM, A.J. Hinch, I think would be good at it. The concern that I would have is that he won a World Series as a manager for the Houston Astros. I don't love what it could potentially do to, like, Dusty Baker. Like, I think Dusty Baker would be looking over his shoulder every second. Like, he gets off to a bad start. Are they going to put A.J. Hinch in the dugout? So I don't like it from that angle. Like, if he is the former manager, people wanted A.J. Hinch back as a manager, like, even this year. Some people are still saying bring A.J. Hinch back as manager. I don't like bringing A.J. Hinch into the GM spot while Dusty Baker is still around.
Hey, guys, back to the video in just 1 minute. Before that, I want to tell you about Fitz Roofing. If you got a leaky roof or need a full roof replacement on your business or your home, and or you want to get something done around the yard or maybe something around the house, they have the best warranties in the business, the best ratings, and the best service. They're going to take care of you every step of the way. Fitz Roofing, making a difference one home at a time. And I didn't think of that, and I don't think that Dusty should be looking over his shoulder for anybody because it's a one-year deal, and he's still going to get paid, and he's done what he set out to do. And I think he should be confident enough, especially with his relationship with the owner, that he'd be okay. The thing to me where I would question A.J. Hinch is when you go back to the scandal of 17 and everything that we've heard, and also then parlay that with what we've heard from Crane about what bothered him about Click and those kind of things. A.J. Hinch didn't have the sack to go in and put his foot down and take out a monitor and put a stop to something that was going on in his clubhouse that he knew was going on and he knew it was wrong. Do I feel like he's going to have the same issues as Click about going to Jim Crane and saying, hey, I'm exploring this trade. Hey, what do you think here? And tiptoe around him instead of being what Crane likes, the kind of guy that's just going to knock on the door and go, look, I've looked at 3 or 4 different trades. These are the big ones. These are the medium-sized ones. Do you like any of them? Let's talk.
Yeah, that's an interesting comparison to me because, like, 17 is kind of like smashing monitors based on sign stealing that everybody else in Major League Baseball was doing. I don't know if I can draw that as a comparison about how he's going to be handling trades.
Well, but I'm talking about you're right, but not the trades, the personalities, right? You're talking about a type A that you're dealing with in Crane. You're talking about a type A manager or a very, very confident manager that comes in and says, I don't care who the players are. I don't care what, they're wanting to pull. This is my clubhouse. We're not doing this crap.
Right. AJ, because, I think that you've had two general managers under Crane, right? You've had Luno, who Crane loves. Maybe not loves him personality, but loved him professionally. And then he's had James Click, right? And Luno was, uber aggressive, not bold, brave, willing to do whatever. Brash, arrogant, cocky, all of those kind of one and the same, right? And then you had James Click, who I think acted scared. He wasn't willing to spend somebody's money that was telling him, hey, here you go, spend my money. So you've had two very different general managers, and Crane telling McTaggart, look, last time I had to hire a GM, I had to act fast. This time I'm going to be deliberate. I'm going to be slow. Don't expect anything until the turn of the calendar, until 2023, January, February, somewhere around there. So those have been the two general managers that Crane has worked with. I think AJ Hinch, if the spectrum is Click, scared, Luno, brave, and fearless, I think AJ Hinch is probably in the middle. I don't think that he's going to act scared at all, but I also don't think he's Luno bravado. And if I had to pick one side where I would give AJ Hinch the lean to, because I do think he's firmly in the middle, but to not be in the middle, I think Hinch would be more aggressive than he would be scared and conservative.
Here's the one thing why I would say you kind of move the scale that way a little bit more is there's a relationship already with Crane, right?
Right.
Unlike Click, and by the way, Click used McTaggart and the ability to talk to McTaggart to basically
tell his side of the story.
Some of the tea leaves,
yeah.
And also say, look, this was a guy that didn't have the ball sack to come down and talk to me. I didn't like the way he did business as opposed to Luno. I think that the one thing where it might change a little bit for AJ is I know this guy going in. We had a good relationship for years. We talked even after I left. I know who he is and what he's all about. So I don't have a problem knocking on the door in his office and going in there and giving him, hard facts and or conversations about what's going on in the trade market. Whereas I think Click, like you said, I think he was walking around scared. I think that, while he was talking to his peers and he was talking to his staff and he was going, I think he's fine. But I think when it came time to, now I got to go to the big boss man and put this out in front of him, I don't think he looked forward to that, and I don't think he probably handled it too well.